Hey there, it's Laura here from makingcardsisun.com, and in today's card making video, I'll be showing you how to create a tropical and sparkly background, and I'll also be showing you how to fix a card making mistake. So I'm starting out with a piece of white Nina cardstock, and this measures 4 1/4 of an inch by 5 1/2. I'm holding down my piece of paper and my stencil with Heffy Doodle's Memo tape, which is a low tack tape that you can use to hold down stencils or die cuts, and it won't leave any sticky residue. I'm using the UnbeLEAFable stencil from Heffy Doodle today, and I'm also using Twisted Citron Distress ink to add the color. This is the Oxide ink that I use, so this blends super smooth and effortlessly. It's just amazing. After adding the color, I'm also adding a layer of Tonic's Moonstone Glimmer paste to add a coat of sparkle. I am scraping off all of the excess to have a really smooth finished result. So here you go. It's super sparkly. It's really gorgeous. So I just set that aside to dry. It took about 30 minutes or so to dry completely, but you can also let it dry overnight if you really want to make sure it's completely dry. Then I'm using Heffy Doodle's Honey Bunny Boo stamp set to stamp an adorable bunny and a little flower. I inked up my stamps with Memento Textile Black ink, and I'm using my Mini Misty tool to ink up and stamp all of these images at once. I wanted this bunny to be all white, so I'm just using an NO marker along with the colorless blender to add a tiny little bit of shading and dimension. This is a great way if you want to have white fur but still want to have a little bit of shading and dimension as well. I'm also going to use the EOOOO marker to add some pink to the inside of those ears and also to add a little bit of blush. Next, for this little flower, I'm using Y04 White Triple O, and then for the little petals, I am using R24 and R20. Then for the actual leaves, I used YG67 and YG23. I didn't capture that on camera because my battery died while I was filming it and I didn't realize. So I'm sorry that I couldn't film that for you. Then I'm using the coordinating dies to die cut these images, and I'm also using the Memo tape from Heffy Doodle to hold down these dies. Until now, I always used washi tape to hold down my dies and my stencils and stuff like that. So I was really excited when I saw that Heffy Doodle actually released this low tack tape. Next, I am going to die cut a circle out of my tropical sparkly background. I'm using a circle die from Spellbinders, and I'm also using the Memo tape to hold down my die. I'm using my Spellbinders Platinum 6 die cutting machine to die cut the circle. I also recommend the Big Shot die cutting machine. So after die cutting everything, it's time to assemble my cards. First, I'm adhering the bunny with some foam squares onto the circle and a little flower with Tonic Nuvo Deluxe adhesive, which is a really great liquid adhesive. It's fast drying, it also dries clear, which is great. For my sentiment, I'm using the Everyday Sentiment Duo stamp set from Heffy Doodle. I am going to be heat embossing this onto some green cardstock from Basil, and I will have to look up what this cardstock is called because I can't remember right now. So to remove any static cling, I like to apply a little bit of kitchen flour. You could also use an embossing buddy or the Martha Stewart's powder tool just to take away any cling and to make sure that your embossing powder won't stick everywhere. So after doing that, I stamped my sentiment with VersaMark ink, and I'm sprinkling on some Wow Opaque Bright White embossing powder. As always, I use the super fine version because this It's just really great to emboss sentiments. After letting my embossing powder cool down a little bit, I went ahead and cut a V-shaped banner out of this green cardstock with my EK Success Cutter B scissors. And here you'll notice that I prepped a piece of yellow ombre cardstock. I made that myself with distress ink, but then in the end I didn't like it at all because it made the card look too much like an Easter card in my opinion, especially since I had that little bunny on there. So later in the video I'll be fixing this. So I'm adhering this frame onto my card with a layer of foam because it's just really nice and sturdy, especially when you're going to be mailing out your cards. Also adding a coat of crystal glaze to the little bunny's flower, and I'm adding some Nuvo drops here and there. So over here I'm using the white Blizzard Nuvo drops. Then for the soft yellow Nuvo drops, I use the Limoncello yellow drops, jewel drops, the Limoncello jewel drop. And then for the gold, I use the Honey Gold's glitter drop bottle. So now back to fixing a card mistake. So I die cut this frame using the Audrey Cutaways die cut sets from Winnie & Walter. I didn't like the yellow, so I die cut this border once more and I trimmed it down. And now I'm adhering this on top of the yellow with my ATG from Scotch, and it lines up perfectly and nobody will ever notice. So of course you could also just tear it off, try to save your circle piece and your V-shaped banner, but it was just really easier this way. So I like how it turned out and I like it more than the yellow version, but of course, you know, all opinions are different, so maybe you like the yellow version more. So thank you so much for watching. Make sure to check out my blog post for a supply list and for more pictures. I will see you very soon. Bye bye.